So MiniMax just dropped M3, and this might be the most important open source model release of the year. This is the first open weights model that combines frontier coding, a 1 million token context window, and native multimodal input, all in one. It actually beats GPT 5.5 on coding benchmarks, can operate a desktop computer on its own, and costs a fraction of what Claude and GPT charge. So today I'm giving you the full breakdown of MiniMax M3, what it can do and how it compares to the state-of-the-art models. Alright, so first, let's take a look at the official blog about MiniMax 3 that their parent company posted. They are saying that MiniMax 3 achieves top-tier performance on coding and agentic benchmarks with autonomous task decomposition, tool invocation, and multi-step reasoning capabilities, providing an A-level foundation for AI agentic architecture and automated workflows. So they are basically saying here that MiniMax 3 is a really good model for agentic tasks. The main fact that I like here is that they have added a 1 million token context window, which is very useful when you're doing long tasks with an AI agent. They have also provided us with this chart showing how MiniMax 3 performs compared to all the other models. Now, for example, in SWE-Bench Pro, MiniMax scores more than GPT 5.5 and is way higher than Gemini 3.1 Pro, but falls behind Opus 4.7, whereas in BrowseComp, it is way better than Opus 4.7, but worse than GPT 5.5 and Gemini 3.1 Pro. The main benchmark I was excited about is how the model would perform on the best new benchmark for AI agents called Deep SWE, but MiniMax 3 did not provide us with their exact specifications as to how the model performed on it. But if we take a look at the current leaderboards for this new and best benchmark for testing AI agent capabilities, the top score goes to GPT 5.5 high, the second is Opus 4.8, and its score is quite lower than that of GPT 5.5. The previous model, called MiniMax 2.7, scored 0% here, so it will be really insane to see how much better MiniMax 3 can score. Now, after looking at the benchmarks they officially provided us, it can be said that the performance of MiniMax 3 is around the level of Opus 4.7 and GPT 5.5. The main fact that people are praising MiniMax 3 for is that it is really cheap. First of all, it is open weight, so you can download the model if you have enough GPU power and run it locally, or you can use its API, which is just very cheap. For example, here I am comparing MiniMax with Claude Opus 4.8 and GPT 5.5 on cost. The input cost of MiniMax 3 is just 30 cents and the output is $1.20, whereas for Opus 4.8, the input is $5 per million tokens and the output is $25 per million tokens. GPT 5.5 has the same input price as Opus, but the output is even more expensive, now at $30 per million tokens. As you can see, MiniMax 3 is more than 10 times cheaper in comparison to Opus 4.8 and 5.5, while providing almost the same level of intelligence as the two leading state-of-the-art closed-source models. So overall, MiniMax 3 is just a better option here. Because of this cheap price, you can run this LLM for hours without spending a lot of money. The API pricing is a huge factor why people are choosing MiniMax 3 over Claude Opus 4.8 or GPT 5.5. Anyway, let's take a look at some of the insane things that people have been able to create with MiniMax 3. Here's a really cool example that I want to show you. This was created by an AI enthusiast named Chetas Lua, who created this premium isometric 3D cozy room using only 3.js, without any external assets or engines. The best part is that this whole thing was created using just one prompt with MiniMax 3. He specifically used the agent feature where MiniMax basically launches multiple agents to do your work to create this cozy room. The UI and all the buttons actually work properly, which is pretty cool. Overall, this is a great demo of the things this model can do in terms of coding and 3D asset generation. Here's another example by GMI Cloud comparing MiniMax 3 with other open source models like DeepSeek V4 and Qwen 3.7 Max. As you can see, there are multiple tests they have done here, like 3D particle collision physics, 3D pinball generation, and SVG animations. They have also shown us a few examples of simple games. As you will see throughout all the generations, MiniMax is almost always better than the other open source models. This model is a huge win for open weights enthusiasts, as it can go toe-to-toe with the closed source models. MiniMax is also really good at generating websites if you give it a good prompt. Here's an example of a website created using MiniMax. It is pretty cool, and it kind of looks like a website that Claude Opus 4.8 would generate. Here is another example, and as you can see, MiniMax 3 constantly creates really good websites, which can be used for almost anything or any presentation. The front-end creating capabilities of this model are definitely impressive and insane. If you want to use the MiniMax 3 model, you just need to go to the minimax.io website. After arriving, you will see a web page like this. It is pretty simple, but the main fact here is that you'll be able to use the MiniMax 3 model with agent teams turned on or off. If you turn on the agent team, MiniMax 3 is basically going to launch different types of agents to create your product much faster and better. So let's turn on the agent team first and ask the model something like, hey, what I want you to do is to create a clone of the Flappy Bird game inside a single HTML file only. Make the game look very beautiful and nice, where all the features work properly. Alright, as you can see, this was a pretty simple prompt, but let's see what kind of Flappy Bird clone MiniMax 3 can create with the agent team turned on. Alright, MiniMax 3 has finished generating our game, and it has also mentioned what is inside. It says it has polished visuals, a hand-drawn bird with an idle hover, and wing flapping. It is saying there are many good things inside this specific game. Let's see how good it actually is. I'm just gonna click on the open preview option to open the game. It looks pretty good. Let me download the HTML file and open it inside a new tab. Let's start the game and see what happens. Now, the game here is a bit hard. As you can see, I am not really able to play this game that well. I can't even score a point. Let me just focus a bit and see whether I can score. Alright, I just scored 2 points. As you can see, I am a pretty good gamer. But overall, the aesthetics of the game are pretty good, the bird looks good, and the game overall looks nice with the text. The button designs are also pretty good. I really like the animation the model has given to the game over text. Let me ask the model to create another game. I'm going to create a new chat and say, hey, what I want you to do now is to create a first-person 3D FPS game where I get to shoot many different enemies, control using code or AI. Make the game look really nice, add good textures, and make everything inside a single HTML file. Also, add good animations. This prompt is a bit complex as it has to create a 3D first-person shooter game in a single HTML file, which can be hard for these models to do, but let's see whether it is successful or not. Alright, so the AI model has finished creating our game. It actually created another game first, but it was just too dark and I could not see anything. So I asked the AI model to make the game lighter and brighter, and it created this. As you can see, I can actually see things now. Let me just download this file and open it in full screen. I have now opened the file in full screen, and I can move around pretty well. I can also shoot the enemies, and they are shooting these weird kinds of balls at me. I can just click on one of the enemies to kill them, and they explode with a bit of animation. Now, I don't really understand why the enemies are going below the ground. As you can see, they are hovering just above it. We need to fix that, but otherwise, this is pretty good looking for a simple generation. I basically used just 2 prompts here. Just imagine how good the game is going to be when I iterate on it further. The enemies can be killed pretty easily, and they drop these orbs. If you collect them, you get energy. Overall, this is much better than what I expect an open source model to be able to accomplish. I have to say, this is actually on par with the other state-of-the-art models out there, so that was about it for the video. See you in the next one.